Welcome back. All right, so over the years, one take that I've had that had a lot of people going, "Wait, what did he say?" was that I did not feel that Marty Brodeur was necessarily the greatest goaltender of all time. Now, I've discussed this before, but this morning, the NHL's Twitter account, which is having what they're calling Goalie Week, which I think is great because goaltenders, honestly, heroes to everybody. They've asked the question of who the greatest of the modern era has been, and they've got Roy, Hasek, and Brodeur up there, and I went, all right, here we go again, because that's the three goaltenders that I have always said were the three best I've watched in my time watching hockey, because that's all I can grade it by. I cannot grade goaltenders I didn't watch, like Terry Sawchuk, Jacques Plante. But I wanted to throw up there too that yes, Tony Esposito deserves some consideration in this. Terry Sawchuk, Glenn Hall, Bernie Perrant, Ken Dryden, Billy Smith, Jacques Plante, I think all deserve some credit too. Ken Dryden, a huge, big money, big game goaltender, um, and big money for Montreal, not for himself. Billy Smith, 4 Stanley Cups in a row. I mean, Billy Smith was a key guy for that 4 straight win New York Islanders team. Terry Sawchuk, people who saw him play will still say to this day he was the best goaltender they've ever seen. So it is highly subjective, and it really is dependent on what you've watched. And for me, I watched Patrick Roy come out of nowhere, and lead a Montreal Canadiens team that was good, not great, to a Stanley Cup, and he did it twice, where he took a team that was good, not necessarily great, and took them to 2 Stanley Cups. In fact, on the set for years, I have had this picture of Patrick Roy with the Conn Smythe Trophy and the Stanley Cup because he did it multiple times. He did it multiple times that he was the best player in the playoffs. And his track record in overtime in 93 with 10 overtime wins, absolutely ridiculous. 4 Stanley Cups for Patrick Roy. He was the missing ingredient for the Nordiques, apparently, because they go to Colorado. They pick up Patrick Roy in a trade, which never would have happened if Patrick Roy, or if the Avs hadn't moved to Denver. If it was still the Quebec Nordiques, there's no chance Patrick Roy goes to Quebec City. None. Zero, zilch. There's just no way. But Patrick Roy, when he retired, 551 wins, 315 losses, 131 ties. I don't think there were overtime losses counted in that column at that point. 910 save percentage in his career and 66 shutouts. Keep in mind that when Patrick Roy came into the NHL, save percentages were really low. Patrick Roy helped to drag them up. And not only that, he inspired a whole generation of French goaltenders that came into the NHL. And it was really something to behold. Now, for Patrick Roy, he has 3 Vezinas, which is the lowest amount of Vezinas on the board. But he also has 3 Conn Smythes, which is 3 more than the other 2 that I'm going to talk about here. So, Conn Smythe Trophy, MVP of the playoffs, to me, has a lot of weight. He was a first-team All-Star 4 times in his career. He was a second-team All-Star twice. He was on the All-Rookie team. He did that at age 20. And I wanted to talk about the age they came into the league as rookies, too, because I think that hurts Hasek in the overall picture. He led in save percentage, did Patrick Roy, 4 times, and he was second twice. His 461 goals saved above average, and I got this number from Hockey Reference, is second only to Tony Esposito's 498. So Tony Esposito gave fantastic goaltending to Chicago, very often a Chicago team that was not a fantastic team on the ice. But Patrick Roy's 461 goals saved above average is second on the all-time list. So I looked for some kind of goal saved above expected over that, but of course we didn't track that until recently. So there isn't anything I can really use, sink my teeth into. It has to be goals saved above average. And that's still a really strong number. Which brings us to Dominik Hasek. Now Hasek wins 2 Stanley Cups in Detroit. He's in Chicago, then he's in Buffalo. He's absolutely lights out with Buffalo. Just they were not a strong enough team to win a Stanley Cup, even with his goaltending heroics. Detroit, he played for a season in Ottawa, ends up going back to Detroit after that. 389 wins, 223 losses, 95 ties, and I think there's some overtime and shootout losses in there as well. His 922 save percentage is first all time. 81 shutouts. And so that 922 save percentage, you can hang your hat on that and say, so greatest of all time. You would have a case too that he has 6 Vezina trophies, 2 Hart trophies, and 2 Ted Lindsay awards. So in back-to-back years, he was the MVP, and the players said he is the best player in the National Hockey League. So that's a pretty strong case for Dominik Hasek, who to me is a close second behind Patrick Roy in terms of the all-time greats that I've watched. He was a first-team All-Star 6 times, and he made the All-Rookie team. He was 26 years of age, though. So because he was from Czechoslovakia before it became Czechia and Slovakia, he did not come over at 20 years of age. If Dominik Hasek had come over at 20 years of age and had another 6 years in the NHL, who knows how many more wins he would have had? Who knows if he would have had more Vezinas? Right? There's no way to know. Which is it's too bad part of the story, right? So his 413 goals saved above average is third on the all-time list, considering that he played so many fewer games than Patrick Roy. You can make the argument that he could very well have had second place in goals saved above average. Maybe he could have ended up first if he had spent his whole career in North America. So I think there is a good argument for Dominik Hasek. I do. And I think that, again, if your opinion is of any of these 3 goaltenders that they're the best of this era or of the modern era, I can't really argue with you on that because these are the 3 greats in my opinion. Now, Marty Brodeur, 3 Stanley Cups, a record of 691 wins, 397 losses, 154 ties, overtime losses, shootout losses. His .912 save percentage is ahead of Patrick Roy. Again, Roy came in the 80s when save percentages were lower. Brodeur comes in the 90s where save percentages are starting to go up. That 125 shutouts is fantastic. 4 Vezina trophies for him. He did win the Calder Trophy in 1994 as well at 21 years of age. He was on the first team 3 times. He was on the second team 4 times. And he was on the All-Rookie team. So all 3 of these goaltenders were on the All-Rookie team. In terms of first-team All-Star, Hasek leads the way with 6, Roy's second with 4, and 3 of them for Marty Brodeur. He had 4 second-team and 2 second-team for Patrick Roy. Now, he never led in save percentage, did Marty Brodeur. He was third twice. That's as close as he gets to being at the top. And this is where, again, I've talked about this before. Brodeur's numbers are excellent. He was a very, very good goaltender, but you can't ignore that he played behind the stingiest defensive team in the National Hockey League. That is part of it. That's part of what made Marty Brodeur's numbers as good as they were, which does not cut down Marty Brodeur. It just means that there were some factors there, too, that he had working for him that other goaltenders didn't necessarily. He has 207 goals saved above average. That is 10th in the National Hockey League all time. So again, one of the all-time greats, absolutely. For me, I would put him just below Hasek and Roy. I think with Brodeur, people just look at the wins and they say, well, he's got more wins than everybody else. He played more games than everybody else, which is fine. He definitely had an Iron Man side to him when it came to how many games he played. But for me, if it's Game 7 of a Stanley Cup final, the guy with the 3 Conn Smythes is the one I'm putting in the net. The one that we have no idea how he makes the saves, but he does, and it's incredible to watch. Dominik Hasek would be my second pick, and then Marty Brodeur would be my third pick. So when we look at goals saved above average, and we look at current goaltenders too, and I wanted to throw this in here, Connor Hellebuyck is the current active leader with 119 goals saved above average in his career. Andrei Vasilevsky has 101. And again, this is from Hockey Reference, so you can go to Hockey Reference and check out the stats. But again, for me, I would have Patrick Roy number 1, Dominik Hasek number 2. Yes, Marty Brodeur roamed from the net a lot, and they changed the rules, so he couldn't play it in the corner. It was also the Marty Turco rule, because if your goaltender was named Marty, they probably roamed a lot. But yeah, Brodeur definitely did that. But for me, again, if it's a big game, if it's a Game 7 of a Stanley Cup final, Patrick Roy is still the guy. And that includes any goaltenders that have played over the last 20 years as well. I would still say, yeah, I would go with Patrick Roy. But again, it's personal preference. It is just one man's opinion. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Because it's an interesting debate. And it is interesting that for me, these are the 3 guys. And it feels like those are the 3 that get debated the most. And so I figured, I'd just take another fresh look at it and discuss it with all you fine people on the internet today. But my pick would be Patrick Roy. I say that as a Boston fan, too, that Patrick Roy always terrified me in the playoffs. I was always nervous, and when he had appendicitis and he was out for a bit, I was very, very happy as a Bruins fan. I was obviously hoping he'd have a full recovery. I remember Don Cherry well saying that he was a Bruins fan, and therefore he hoped that Patrick Roy had a nice, healthy recovery of about 2 weeks, which would take him out of the entire series. He didn't end up missing 2 weeks because he's Patrick Roy, so of course he didn't. But absolutely remarkable career, and all three of these goaltenders, you can absolutely make that argument for in terms of being the greatest of all time or the greatest of the modern era. But let me know your opinion. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event you've not done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.